Israel at war. New developments as the battle more than 5,000 miles away is also having a political impact here at home. More calls for juvenile justice reform in Maryland. Why local police say the laws in place are complicating what used to be routine investigations. And a day to forget for Baltimore sports fans. Highlights from Camden Yards as the Orioles now face playoff elimination, plus the Ravens fall to a divisional rival after a late collapse.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. We're going to begin with some breaking news out of Baltimore. There is a large police presence along East North Avenue near Greenmount Cemetery. We reached out to Baltimore police for more information. We'll keep you updated on this developing story on air and online at foxbaltimore.com as we continue to learn more. But a very active crime scene on North Avenue near Greenmount Cemetery. We'll continue to follow this. Well, more than 1,000 people are dead after a Hamas terrorist attack on Israel, followed by a swift retaliation from the Israeli government. Parts of both Israel and Gaza turned to rubble overnight as families are forced to carry their loved ones, some of them in body bags. As many as 260 music festival goers massacred by Hamas as first responders described the nightmare scene in front of them. Some viewers may find these comments disturbing.
We're finding everything. I had like a 90-year-old woman with a bullet wound to her breast.
90-year-old woman?
Yeah, they're shooting everyone. Like there's no mercy at all. A 90-year-old woman with a bullet wound to her breast. I've had people with, like, you know, their RPG hit close by. They basically had terrible wounds.
More than 200 people were killed in Gaza when this apartment building was bombed, and tonight the fighting continues. And new reporting reveals the Hamas attacks have been in the works for months. The death toll includes at least 3 Americans. National correspondent Christine Frizzau has the response from the United States.
An unexpected and unrelenting attack on Israel by the militant group Hamas.
This is Israel's 9/11.
The fear palpable at this music festival near the Gaza Strip, where some in attendance are believed to have been taken hostage, others killed instantly.
There's no code, there's no mercy, there's nothing. This was just straight up butchering. It's not even war, this is a massacre.
We spoke to Army Reservist Idan Dugan, now stationed at a settlement just near the Gaza Strip.
They took a grandma in a golf cart. In the family's golf cart, you see couples getting torn apart. You see kids dying. Women are getting dragged by their hair. I don't even want to think what they did to them.
Snapshots of the aftermath telling a story of fear. This police station for a brief time under the control of Hamas militants before being taken back by Israeli defense forces as the world watches and waits for the next chapter of this war to unfold.
Men and women and children dragged across the border into Gaza, including a Holocaust survivor in a wheelchair.
The White House vowing additional aid, the U.S. deploying the largest warship in the world to the region for support.
The United States stands with Israel. We will not ever fail to have their back.
It's a pledge made more difficult by the instability on Capitol Hill, with no Speaker of the House, and many Republicans blaming the Biden administration for what they see as a far too lenient approach toward Iran.
We do know that Iran is behind this. They have financed this every step of the way, and they've trained these terrorists.
That statement now confirmed by Hamas leaders, with some other critics taking it further.
The United States is giving and gave to Iran $6 billion, $6 billion, over hostages.
Top White House officials pushing back.
Not a single cent has been spent from that account. When any money is spent from that account, it can only be used for medical supplies, for food, for medicine. And those who are saying otherwise are either misinformed or misinforming.
The war of words in Washington, though, overshadowed by an all-out war in Israel. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
Well, Governor Wes Moore saying the attacks are awful and his heart goes out to the victims. He says Maryland stands with Israel during this dark time. Political experts say this conflict may rapidly escalate in the days ahead. Dr. Mary Kate Schneider, director of global studies at Loyola University, joined us on Fox 45 Morning News to say civilians will probably be paying the biggest price for all this fighting.
We already have a tremendous refugee crisis in the Middle East stemming from this conflict, and this is not going to improve the situation. It will get worse. We also really have to worry about disrupting the delicate balance of power within the Middle East. And so at the UN General Assembly last month, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israel sought to normalize relations with Saudi Arabia, which in the long run is a great step forward in terms of peace in the Middle East. But in the interim, it could get very messy and already has.
Well, Fox 45 News will continue to follow the developments out of the Middle East. Stay up to date with our coverage by downloading the Fox 45 app. Just search WBFF in your app store. More homecoming week violence on a Maryland college campus as 2 people were injured in a shooting at Bowie State University late last night. Police say it was an isolated incident and the victims are not college students there. Police have recovered a gun and are looking for multiple suspects. The university president says she is working with students to help move forward.
I don't know what the answers are, but we will be coming together once again as a campus community, and we will figure it out together. We have students who have come forward. Our Student Government Association leadership has been talking with me and our senior leaders to let us know what we need to do to help the healing process begin.
Bowie State has canceled classes for tomorrow and will offer counseling services to its students. There will also be a community conversation tomorrow night on campus. And as we mentioned, this is the second shooting at a Maryland university in less than a week. Police are still searching for suspects after 5 people, including 4 students, were shot last Tuesday night at Morgan State University. Classes are expected to resume tomorrow. And police are looking for at least 2 suspects. They released this surveillance video on the day after the shooting showing persons of interest. Mayor Brandon Scott says gun violence needs to be addressed at the national level. Fox 45's Taylor Stewart will have more from him and some of the pushback coming up in 10 minutes.
What bothers me the most
His MLB debut against in April chased him in the second after 5 runs and 4 walks. Bullpen didn't help either after 3 walks from Brian Baker to load the bases in the third. The Rangers unloaded them with 1 swing from Mitch Garver, put this out of reach. 9-2 in the third. The Birds had a rally, but 7 runs too much. The Orioles dropped game 2 11-8 and face elimination in 2 days. Rocco DeSangro has more from Cannon Yards.
It looked like the Grayson Rodriguez of old, the one that we saw before he got sent down to the minors, and not the one that finished the second half of the season strong. Rodriguez, 1 2/3 innings pitched, 4 walks, 5 earned, and it really put the Orioles in a hole early on.
4 walks hurt, but he had a lot of. He was getting ahead of quite a few hitters there, especially in that big inning. Just had a tough time putting guys away. Some 1-2 counts, some 0-2 hits. Just for me, a tough time finishing guys, and the guys he didn't. He was working behind in the count, and the other times with 4 walks, but it was just a young starter that just didn't have his best stuff.
Enjoy their time with their families tomorrow. Just focus on what we need to do for these next 3 days and come out playing with our hair on fire like we have all year.
The O's staff as a whole issued a season-high 11 walks to the Rangers lineup, while some of the Birds' big bats continue to struggle. Adley Rutschman and Cedric Mullins a combined 1 of 16 in this series so far. Now down 0-2 in this series, the O's head to Texas with their backs against the wall. The team that hasn't been swept since May of 2022 now needs 3 straight wins to advance to the ALCS. For now at Camden Yards, Rocco DeSangro for Sports Unlimited.
Right here on Fox 45, first pitch just after 8. Game 4 if necessary on Wednesday. If the Birds can win 2 on the road and force Game 5, the series would come back to Baltimore. That's at 8 on Friday.
Morgan, thank you. And you can catch all things O's with the Rip and Rock podcast. Ryan Ripken and our own Rocco DeSangro breakdown. With new episodes every Monday, you can stream them anywhere you get your podcasts. And Fox 45 is your exclusive home for the 2023 World Series. The Fall Classic begins Friday, October 27th. You can watch all the action right here on Fox 45. A 37-year-old man is dead following a crash along the outer loop of the Baltimore Beltway just north of Security Boulevard. The crash happened around 2:15 this morning. State police say the man crashed into the concrete median, got out of the car, and was standing on the shoulder when he was hit and killed by another driver. The other driver remained at the scene. Maryland State Police are continuing to investigate. A touching tribute to first responders who died in the line of duty. Today's honor and remembrance ceremony in Marriottsville recognized firefighters and EMS personnel who have lost over the past year. Organizers say it's important for loved ones of the deceased to remember they are not alone.
It's important to let the family know that when we lose a brother or sister in the fire service, that we're still here for them and that we always remember them. This garden here leaves us a little special place in our heart because our fire department training academy is right around the corner.
The event included reading the names of the fallen heroes and a ceremonial wreath laying. Well, coming up, class is expected to resume at Morgan State tomorrow following last week's mass shooting. Why some community leaders are still pressing the mayor over his response to the shooting.
And a little bit of a fall chill in the air for the kids heading to the bus stop tomorrow morning, well down into the 40s, 44 at drop-off time. Jackets out, heaters on, only into the low to mid 60s again tomorrow afternoon. Could even have some chance of rain tomorrow. Going to be tracking that on the Future Scan coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
It has been nearly a week since the Morgan State University shooting, a somber weekend on campus as the university had to cancel its homecoming activities. Mayor Brandon Scott saying it is time to address gun violence at the national level, but some community leaders are pushing back. Fox 45's Taylor Stewart has the story.
Students at Morgan State University returning to class on Monday after yet another homecoming week upended by a shooting.
They're trigger pullers in our city that don't care about life. They have no value for life.
The parties, pageants, and tailgates all canceled this weekend as police released this video in search of two shooters who they say opened fire on campus Tuesday, forcing students to duck and cover from bullets.
All I saw was the glass window shatter. I heard the bullets and it just came down on me and I was just like, okay, so now it was just run. The only thought that I had was run.
5 people were shot, 4 of them students, none of whom, according to Police Commissioner Richard Worley, were the intended targets.
The amount of trauma that could cause. We need tougher penalties. There has to be consequences and they have to be enforced.
BPD is now offering $9,000 for information leading to an arrest. They're looking to speak with the 4 people in this surveillance video in what marks the 3rd year in a row a shooting happening during the university's homecoming week.
It's just sad that the innocent have to suffer from now for the guilty.
Meanwhile, Mayor Scott doubling down, saying gun violence in Baltimore stems from a nationwide issue, and it's up to Congress to enact stricter gun legislation.
I think that when you look at Maryland's laws around guns and gun violence, we have some of the best in the country. The guns are coming in from other places, other states. That is why this is a national issue.
But community leaders,
why don't we have some of the safest streets?
Pushing back.
He could say it's global, he could say it's national, but all politics is local. I'm concerned with what's happening in this city.
As students return to class Monday, Pastor P.M. Smith with this sobering message.
I wish Black life mattered to Black people. We're in trouble.
Taylor Stewart, Fox 45 News.
Well, over the years in Annapolis, there have been a number of bills that would increase the penalties for committing violent crimes across the state. Those include the Violent Firearms Offender Act and the Repeat Violent Offenders Act. We sent questions to Mayor Brandon Scott asking why he hasn't supported these policies. If the plans are introduced again this year, will he support the legislation and use his position to urge other lawmakers to support them as well? If not, what specific bills is he working with the Baltimore City delegation on to introduce to hold gun offenders accountable? And is it time for mandatory minimums to be considered in Maryland for gun offenders? The mayor's office has not yet responded. And we want to show you those persons of interest in the Morgan State shooting one more time. Anybody with information about this group of people is asked to call Metro Crime Stoppers. That number right there on your screen.
And a touch of fall. Remember last week when it was oh so warm? No more. Temperatures only up to 63 this afternoon as the O's unfortunately went down to the Rangers here. Back at home at Camden Yards in the background. Right now it's 52 with clear skies. Winds out of the west at 8 miles an hour. Humidity 54% and dew points. That's our measure of moisture in the air. Crisp and dry in the 30s. So it's a real taste of fall. I know the wood burning stoves are probably going this evening. Temperature now 52 here in Baltimore, but look at those 40s already at Cockeysville, 48 at Columbia, 48 at Laurel, 48 at Gaithersburg. We're probably going to the low to mid 40s in spots. Look at these, yes, wind chills right now. 46 is what it feels like at Gaithersburg. Yeah, that's not too bad at Bel Air and Chestertown, but you get into Western Maryland, it's kind of a whole different country out here. Feels like 43 at Cumberland, and up at elevation at Oakland feels like 29 in nearby mountainous West Virginia. There was snow this weekend. Before long, it will be coming here. So let's enjoy what we got while we got it with the highs in the 60s. And it looks like a couple more cool days heading our way, or at least one more cool day heading our way. And even a risk of some showers. Notice some of these rain showers trying to push their way east. All these cold weather watches and warnings, freeze warnings, frost advisories all out to our west. We are going to see some potentially chilly showers coming our way on the backside of this weather maker here. It's even got some snow and ice in Canada. On the backside for us, though, it will just be a potential sprinkle with some extra clouds tomorrow. And then the warmer weather that south and west of that is going to get here. Now, out in the tropics, yes, we're still talking tropical season. There's an 80% chance of tropical development over the next 7 days, way out there in the eastern Atlantic. I'm thinking we may not have to worry so much about this one. It's already making that northerly curve over the eastern Atlantic region. as we head over the next, say, 5 to 7 days, and then heading due north out of the open waters. But again, it's something to watch since it is out there, and we have a lot of time to watch it. So Future Scan says overnight tonight through about, say, 3 a.m., we're going to just have some cool conditions, mostly clear, low to mid 40s by the time you're waking up tomorrow morning. Now, notice into tomorrow afternoon, a couple spots, sprinkles try to roll in there by about 4 or 5 o'clock, on and off here and there. About 20% chance all the way through sunset, and then gradually diminishing overnight, especially after midnight into early Tuesday. So real fall pattern setting up. 43, partly cloudy and chilly for tonight. 63 with a stray afternoon shower tomorrow. Going to need those jackets maybe all day long. With more clouds than sun, it'll be cool. Milder day coming for Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday could be in the mid-70s. That looks good. Low to mid-70s. Clouds and sun on Friday. Some rain comes in for next weekend, though. Rain on Saturday, 68, and about a chilly showers perhaps on Sunday with 63.
Jonathan, thank you. Still ahead, Maui is reopening to tourists 2 months after devastating wildfires despite some pushback. Why some locals say they have no other choice. Well, West Maui has reopened to tourists 2 months after wildfires tore through the island and devastated the town of Lahaina. This comes as the community continues to mourn the 97 people who died. Locals are split on reopening, but so much of the island's livelihood depends on tourism.
Probably from like 800 to 1,000 people a night between, tourists and local people. And right now we have about 20, maybe 30 the most. We just need to keep moving forward. I understand that a lot of people having issues with opening, but we need to survive. It's the only way.
Well, according to state officials, tourism makes up about 20% of the state's GDP and about 80% for the island of Maui. A Democratic presidential candidate says he's being shunned by his own party. Why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. may be switching his alliance ahead on Full Measure. Presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he's being forced to consider leaving his political party. If he does, it could upend the 2024 campaign in an unexpected way. Full Measure Cheryl Atkinson sits down with Kennedy to discuss his campaign.
A Rasmussen Reports poll just found that 1 in 3 Democrats say they might vote for you if you were to leave the Democrat Party and run as a third-party candidate. What thoughts do you have about that?
If the Democratic Party does not allow me to actually have a fair election, in other words, if they, continue doing what they're doing, which is to rig the outcome of the election, then I would look at all options.
Can you explain in simple terms what the Democrat Party is doing to discourage your candidacy?
One of the most, I think, egregious thing is that they've passed a rule that says that any candidate who steps into New Hampshire, that no vote that is cast for that candidate in New Hampshire will count toward them. And so I have campaigned in New Hampshire. I've been campaigning there from the beginning. And every delegate that I win from New Hampshire will go instead to President Biden. And they have the potential to do the same thing in Iowa. It's more akin to what we saw in the Soviet Union during, the Soviet era, when the political party, in that case the Communist Party, was claiming that they had a democracy. But the way they controlled the democracy is the party alone could designate who the nominees were. And so the only people the public could vote on were candidates that were chosen by the party apparatchiks rather than, the public.
Why do you think the Democrat Party is so against your candidacy? Lifelong Democrat, Kennedy is a Democrat Party name.
I think the Democratic Party is increasingly dependent on corporate money, and that I think there's concern that if they elect a populist candidate like Tulsi Gabbard or Bernie Sanders or myself, that the corporate faucets will be shut off. It really is the uniparty, and both parties are involved with protecting those corporate donors, and they're the same corporate donors. And I think that frightens them that that flow of money would be shut off.
We'll be hearing from other candidates in the weeks ahead. One note, we've been asking Joe Biden for an interview since 2019 and are still hoping he'll agree at some point. For Full Measure, I'm Cheryl Atkinson.
Well, the faces say it all. Those looks sum up the day in the life of a Baltimore sports fan. There it is. Yes, all of those looks. As the Orioles lose Game 2 and the Ravens collapse at Pittsburgh, it's all ahead on Sports Unlimited. That's all for the news at 10. I'm Mary Bubala. Thanks so much for watching. Morgan Atzett joins us now with Sports Unlimited. Morgan.
Well, bad news and bad news. The Orioles roughed up by the Rangers in Game 2 of the ALDS. The same for the Ravens in Pittsburgh. What started as a promising day for Baltimore sports fans ends in pain. But tomorrow is always a new day. They may have had bad pitching in Game 2, but the Bats at least woke up. An improvement from Game 1 as the Orioles now head to Texas and try to do what they've done all season: avoid the sweep. And Lamar Jackson says the Ravens gave this one away. What went wrong in Pittsburgh and the disaster of a fourth quarter. All that when Sports Unlimited starts after this. Hey everyone, welcome to Sports Unlimited. I'm Morgan Atzett. Rocco DeSangro will join the show in just a bit from Camden Yards, where it was only Game 2 of the ALDS against the Rangers, but it felt must win with Grayson Rodriguez with the ball in his hand for his postseason debut against the team he had his MLB debut against back in April. Plus, the Ravens are trying to stay perfect in the AFC North today at Pittsburgh, where they put the ugly in ugly fourth quarter. But first, the only guaranteed game left at Camden Yards as of now, the Birds in a 1-0 hole in the American League Division Series hosting Texas. 2 years ago, these two were at the bottom of the AL. That ugly theme carried over for these Orioles. Rodriguez struggled early and didn't agree with the strike zone, single and 2 walks in the inning, but got out of the bases-loaded jam with the fly out to left with Austin Hayes, so no damage done. Orioles bats load the bases themselves in the bottom of the first, and no miscommunication with this at bat from Aaron Hicks. Singles to right, Ryan Mountcastle scores, and Gunnar Henderson slides in safely. 2-0 Orioles. That was short-lived. Rodriguez back on the bump, back with the struggles. Leadoff batter on, walked, now with 2 on. The 2-bagger ties the game at 2. After another walk, Rodriguez has to play a little bit of defense. The ball coming slow to him. Cannot get the out at first. 1 run scores. Rangers now with the lead 3-2. Next up, shot to center. Another run, 4-2 Texas, top of 2, and they were not done. The Rangers chased Rodriguez in his postseason debut before he got out of the second. 5 runs later, his night done. 1 2/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 5-2 Rangers. Bullpen time. Brian Baker putting them all on grand slam. The Orioles can't have 11 walks. A 7-run deficit is nearly impossible. The O's bats came close, out hitting the Rangers 14-11, and got within 3 runs after the Aaron Hicks homer in the 9th, but the rally fell short.
You know, our backs are against the wall right now, and you know, tonight wasn't our best night on the mound. Give our guys a lot of credit for being down, 9-2, and then kind of giving ourselves a chance a little bit, getting some base runners, scratching away a little bit. But yeah, we have to go to Texas and play well. We haven't played our 2 best games here And we've played well on the road all year, so hopefully we can play well on the road.
You heard Brandon Hyde. The series heads to Texas. The Birds will be in Arlington tomorrow. They'll have a workout. Game 3 has to wait. It's Tuesday right here.